Welcome back to JVM Internals Crashcasts. I'm your host Sheila, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of object lifecycle in Java. We're currently in our JVM Novice season, exploring the fundamentals of memory management. In our last episode, we discussed the differences between stack and heap memory. Now, we're ready to understand how objects live and die in the Java world. Joining me, as always, is our JVM expert, Victor. Victor, are you ready to unravel the mysteries of object lifecycle?
Absolutely, Sheila. I'm excited to explore this crucial aspect of Java programming with our listeners. Understanding the object lifecycle is key to writing efficient and bug-free Java code.
Great. Before we dive in, let's start with a quiz question for our listeners. Here's a scenario. You create an object in your main method, use it for some calculations, and then set the reference to null. Is this object immediately eligible for garbage collection? Think about it, and we'll reveal the answer at the end of the episode. Victor, what are your thoughts on this question?
That's an excellent question, Sheila. It really touches on some core concepts of object lifecycle and garbage collection. Without giving away the answer, I think it's going to make our listeners think critically about object references and how the JVM manages memory. It's not as straightforward as it might seem at first glance.
I agree, Victor. Now, let's start from the beginning. Can you explain what happens when an object is created in Java?
Certainly. When an object is created in Java, it goes through a process called instantiation. This typically happens when you use the new keyword, followed by a constructor. The JVM allocates memory for the object on the heap, initializes its fields, and returns a reference to the object. Think of it like building a new house. You need land, memory, construction, initialization, and an address, reference, to find it.
That's a great analogy, Victor. So, once we have this house, how do we use it? What happens during an object's lifetime?
Once an object is created, it can be used in your program through its reference. You can call its methods, access or modify its fields, and pass it to other methods. The object remains alive as long as there's at least one reference to it from a live thread. It's like keeping the keys to your house. As long as someone has a key, the house is considered in use.
I see. So, what happens when we're done with the object? How does Java know it's time to demolish the house, so to speak?
That's where garbage collection comes in. Unlike some other programming languages, Java manages memory automatically. You don't explicitly delete objects. Instead, when an object is no longer reachable, meaning there are no more references to it from live parts of your program, it becomes eligible for garbage collection. The garbage collector will eventually reclaim the memory occupied by such objects.
That sounds convenient, but I've heard some misconceptions about this process. Could you clarify some common misunderstandings?
Absolutely. One common misconception is that garbage collection happens immediately after an object becomes unreachable. In reality, there can be a delay between an object becoming eligible for garbage collection and the actual reclamation of its memory. Another misunderstanding is that setting an object reference to null always makes the object eligible for garbage collection. This isn't always true if there are other references to the same object.
Those are great points, Victor. It seems like understanding object lifecycle is crucial for writing efficient Java code. Do you have any tips or best practices for our listeners?
Certainly. Here are a few key points to remember. 1. Be mindful of object creation, especially in loops or frequently called methods. 2. Release references to objects you no longer need, allowing them to be garbage collected. 3. Understand that while Java handles memory management, it's still important to write code that facilitates efficient garbage collection. 4. Use tools like profilers to identify memory leaks or excessive object creation in your applications.
Those are excellent tips, Victor. Now let's circle back to our quiz question. Is an object immediately eligible for garbage collection when its reference is set to null in the main method?
Great question. The answer is, it depends. If setting the reference to null makes the object unreachable from any live thread, then yes, it becomes eligible for garbage collection. However, if there are other references to the same object elsewhere in the program, it won't be eligible until all references are gone. Remember, eligibility doesn't mean immediate collection. The garbage collector will run on its own schedule.
Thank you, Victor. That really ties together everything we've discussed today. To summarize, we've covered the object lifecycle in Java, from creation through instantiation, usage via references, and eventual eligibility for garbage collection when unreachable. We've also dispelled some common misconceptions and shared best practices for efficient object management. In our next episode, we'll be diving into an introduction to garbage collection, building on what we've learned today. Don't miss it. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to JVM Internals Crashcasts and leave us a rating. Your support helps us continue creating in-depth, educational content about Java and the JVM. Until next time, keep coding and stay curious.